Greetings, Goddess Body, Mind, Spirit community. This is your Goddess Guru, Tirra-Omilade, here to share a word of inspiration with you on your path to self-realization and self-mastery. Something that I do want to make sure I begin to let you all know is that the work that I do is spiritual coaching, and I share wisdom to give people tools to use. So, one of the things that I plan on discussing today is a topic that I think a lot of spiritual coaches, just coaches in general, have to help people with. In using the Afro tradition as well as the goddess tradition, there's so many tools. And for me, it's more about the perspective, having the right perspective that will help people get on the path to healing. So, one of the members of my inner circle, who is a part of the spiritual coaching cipher, asked, you know, for those of us that did not have a good relationship with our mother, what do we do? How do we heal from that? I think that is an excellent question because as I see it, whether it's the mother or the father that you take issue with, if we have an issue with our parents, it greatly colors our world, especially when it's wounding from childhood. It's, I didn't get from you what my expectation was. And so, one of the best things that we can do is to get on the path to self realization and self mastery as long as we see ourselves as a human being. And that is the totality of what we truly understand ourselves to be. Because it's one thing to understand or to know, oh, I'm a spirit inhabiting a body. But it's something totally different when you actually live that way because that is actually your identity. And so once you begin to get on the journey of knowing who you are, that is the ultimate journey. Self realization, know the truth of who and what you are. Once you begin to firmly get on this journey and you begin to experience yourself from an expanded place, it gives you a whole different viewpoint and perspective of your parents, of the people in your life that have wounded you. But sometimes it goes down to the basics, just basic psychological understanding. And one of the things I learned as I became a mom, and I was also a childbirth educator and a La Leche League leader, one of the things I began to learn is that babies actually do come with expectations. They expect to be held, nurtured, cared for, loved, everyone just putting them at the center of attention. They come expecting whatever mama brings and whatever daddy brings. Babies come with expectations. And so if a baby does not get a certain need met, an expectation, it could create a void within that baby. And even as children, we have certain needs based on where we are in our development. And if we get those needs met, that's awesome. If we do not get those needs met, there can be ways that our development gets stunted emotionally. We feel like we have a void. We feel like we have a gap. And sometimes we don't even know it. Even kids that come from pretty rough circumstances, they may not even realize it. It's not until we begin to get older and we're not feeling happy that we're asking, oh, wait a minute, what happened? Sometimes it's a little more direct. Mama and daddy, they straight up were negligent. They were abusive. They did things that, like there's proof, there's evidence. We know it happened, so that's there too. And it creates a gap and a void. And one of the best things I ever did for myself, because mine was not necessarily with my mom, it was with my dad. But one of the best things I did was just acknowledge, you know what? I came here with certain expectations. They weren't met. So what am I gonna do? What I'm gonna do? Am I going to sit around and live a life of misery, or am I going to find some kind of way to, to fill up this void? Now, a lot of us are filling up the void with a lot of stuff that's not right. Okay. And so, we have to acknowledge when we're trying to fill that void. And it just depends on how long we're willing to go filling the void with the wrong thing, before we decide, well, that's not working, because it just takes more to fill the void. But actually acknowledging, we were born into this circumstance of wanting certain needs to be met by mama. And that mama, to me, it doesn't really matter if it's mama or daddy, but there is something about it, the feel of it, I perceive, especially for women, but the feel of it is something. It's painful. It's very, very painful. Okay. And just acknowledging she didn't do her job. Don't know why she didn't do her job, but this is just where I am. Okay. This was the circumstance of my life. That is a way to begin to get yourself on, first of all, letting mama go and just being like, you know what? All right, it's over, because you can't go back, right? And then once you've acknowledged that, now you're in control. And so you can begin to, if you're watching this channel, you can begin to get on the path to self-realization and self-mastery. And for me, it is unique to you. Your path is your path. I come from a tradition that says many paths, one truth. Okay. So everyone is going to have to pick their path, but you must get on that path. And nobody can really tell you specifically. You want to be on a path where you are doing the work. You don't want people dictating a whole bunch to you. Although we do come to learn, it's really a path that you need to get on, that is a healing path that is unique to you. And I talk about this on a regular basis. Definitely you can get readings. And to me, the astrological chart tells so much. Since I've started doing astrology and I look at people's charts, I tell them, look, this is your chart, because part of understanding who we are, knowing from an expanded place beyond this flesh, part of the understanding that we come to is that we chose to be here. This is no, oh, I just fell from heaven situation. No, we made the choice to incarnate. We made the choice to incarnate with that mama, with that daddy. Okay. And for those that have more than just mama and daddy, those parents, we made this choice. And so when we look at our chart, and this is what I've never heard anyone say this, but this is what I'm really coming to the conclusion of. We made this chart, and there's indications where there's going to be problems with mama and problems with daddy, or one or the other. That was a choice that we made. That was the chart that we chose. This is the incarnation that we chose. These are the parents that we chose, because there's some lesson that we're here to learn. And so, it's really about taking the power back into your hand and knowing the truth of who and what you are, saying, you know what, I chose to be here. And there's some lesson in this for me. And it's difficult for me to say, because it's a myriad number of ways to look at this thing, But there's a reason they chose to bring you into existence, and you chose them to bring you into existence, and to have the kind of relationship that you have with them. And as you begin to know who you are and understand the truth of who and what you are, you begin to put the pieces together, and you begin to realize, I am here for this particular reason. And the part that they're playing in this is, you know, is what we got. It's what we got. And some people, their parents change and things get better. Some people never get that peace, you know. But make no mistake about it, if we really begin to look at our life on a grander scale, we will see there was a lesson in this. And they needed to come here. I needed to be their child to learn this lesson. Now, the lesson now this is where I can pick up, because this is what I began to learn after my mother died. Though I had a good relationship with my mom, it was my dad that I struggled with. And excuse me, because I'm still getting over this little bug situation I had this week. And that is, after my mother died, I began to realize there is no replacing mama. There's no replacing mama. And just to kind of connect this to the ones that struggle with mama, for my father, I began to realize there's no replacement for what I did not get in my childhood. There is no man on the face of this planet that's going to replace what I didn't get from my father, okay? As a child. And so the other thing that began to happen, the more I engaged in my spiritual practice and began to connect with my Ori, my ancestors, my destiny, and just to really understand my connection to the great divine. I never really had they are the vehicles that allow me to come into this world, but I am a soul that transcends having a physical mother and a father. You know, when the great mother becomes your mother, it just changes the way you feel about your own mother. And as humans, that relationship with mom, that relationship with dad, those are very special relationships. They are crucial to our human development. But I give thanks that my goal, your goal here in this lifetime, is to know yourself beyond the limits of this life, this story that you're living called your life. Because we're here to know the fullness of who and what we are. And so, once you begin to really connect with the great mother and the great father, this is probably one of the reasons that people are so attracted to Ifa, because you have your mama, Orisha, and you have your father, Orisha, right? It takes you beyond needing things that are, from the physical realm. And you can begin to find ways to heal the human aspects. So you have to know you got the human side of yourself, you've got the mental, you've got the emotional, you've got the spiritual. It's layers to you. All right. And so it's like, I put out the video about the key to self-mastery awareness. It's about becoming aware of where are the holes, where are the wounds that I'm feeling within my beingness. And so for perhaps one could be an emotional wound related to mama not being mama for you the way you needed her to be mama from the human perspective. And so then you have to begin to figure out what is the healing balm, because it won't be being able to go back, though there are techniques that you can use to go back and undo. I talked about the 4 agreements. You can go break up with some agreements you made with yourself as a child. Mama doesn't love me. I'm not lovable. Well, okay, let me go into meditation. Let me go get a therapist that can help me go back to that moment when I can't change what mama did, but what I can do is change this agreement that I made with myself based on the information that I had at the time as a child. Mama don't love me, but that doesn't mean I'm not lovable. And as soon as we break that agreement and we step into the agreement that we are lovable, there is going to be some type of nurturing energy that comes our way and allows us to feel whole and complete. And it becomes a salve to the wound called Mama didn't do what she needed to do, but that's okay. Because guess what? She ain't really my mama. I mean, like when you understand that literally all is one, all is one, then it takes away hierarchies, it takes away differentiations, it takes away everything. This is the beauty of the spiritual practice. This is the beauty of being on the path to knowing the truth of who and what you are. It literally, when I think about the metanetter, the energy of Amen. Amen is no thingness. It's about transcending every condition that you have and walking at oneness with the great divine. And that's all you know. Like this computer that I'm looking at and talking into is the great divine. The microphone that I'm speaking into, it's the great divine. You and me and we together. Great divine. We're all one. We're all one. And in the face of that's all that's the only reality. And this is when, when people talk, you start sounding like you woo-woo, airy fairy. But once you experience it, you know it to be true. And you don't walk around hurt no more. Because it's like, well, that was an experience that I had in my physical lifetime. But that's all it was. When I began to step myself out to the greatest reality that there is, there's only peace. I don't have a mama. I don't have a daddy. Those don't even exist. But what ends up happening is, this hold that mama and daddy have, this connection to our parents, it can hold us so tightly because to a certain degree, it becomes almost subconscious. And we don't realize how tightly we hold on to the wound, to the pain, because to a certain degree, that's what keeps us plugged in and tapped in and tuned into them. But when we say, you know what? It is what it is. What happened, happened. And, to a certain degree, once you begin to get healed, you'll start even seeing, oh, I can see why they did what they did. That's what happened with me. It's like, I can't remember what video I talked about it in, but it's like, we're here. And then you get to a level of awareness, your head pops out and you're like, oh, I never saw this. I never saw this perspective before, because I was under it. And then I come up and I can see it, And so the more you heal, the more you say, I desire to be healed. Even if it means I've got to let go of all the stuff that comes with feeling that wound, I'll let it go. I'll let go of my identity as so-and-so's daughter who they didn't take care of, so-and-so's son that they just kicked off to the curb and didn't love, I'm willing to let go of that identity. Once we really begin to start healing, our head will pop up and we're like, oh, I see mom and daddy for exactly what they are. They were just grown up, wounded children, or this is a person that was like mentally ill and they just did hateful things, from their illness, or, sometimes it's just their chart was they were just sort of evil, and you'll get whatever perspective you need to get in order for you to be like, oh, okay. I remember when I first began, even sometimes with my mom, though my mom did not wound me. It's like something that happened and I'm like, I finally see why mama did that. I understand why daddy acted the way daddy acted now. It's like, oh, okay. Okay. I got it. Wow. I didn't know that. And I have compassion, you know? There's a book that I read a long time ago, and I recommend it to a lot of people, and it takes forever for folks to read the book. It's called Radical Forgiveness. That is one of the best classes I ever took, one of the best books I ever read, one of the best processes that I ever worked. If we speak of it from the Afro goddess tradition, this would be the energy of Ma'at, because Ma'at can see the big picture. And because my aunt can see the big picture, she understands how each part plays into the whole. And once my aunt begins to ask questions, this is how radical forgiveness works. They don't talk about my aunt. I relate it to my aunt though. Once my aunt begins to ask the questions and really and truly begins to look at each episode and starts to put them all together in the vision, the big picture. And the vision is your life, okay? The vision is your destiny. The vision is, why are you here? You put it within the vision. Then she's like, oh, she's so optimistic. She's positive, and she's like, I completely forgive you. I completely forgive you for what you've done. Because, yeah, I can see beyond the episodes and I can see the big picture. So I'll give that out to you all. Watch. Read and work Radical Forgiveness. This is Tirra-Omilade, hoping that this is helpful to all of you out there who struggle with mama and daddy issues, because this is real. And if you need a reading, the readings that I provide are not just like fortune telling type readings. These are readings where I do all I can to give you practical steps. Well, first of all, an understanding of what's there, but also to get practical steps on what you can do to have more healing in your life or just more success in general. I'm also doing the same thing in my spiritual coaching cipher at patreon.com/goddess body mind spirit. But I have various levels. And again, my goal is to help you all just feel so empowered in your lives. But my least expensive level is the $5 level. They're getting this first. So you could get in just for $5. And the higher you go, the more tools I share with you. Thank you all so much. I wish you all a wonderful day. Peace.